back to the Just Hoop Show. I am your host, Jorge Loria Jr. Today will be a solo episode in studio. It'll just be me. I'm going to be going over a couple of topics. I wanted to make sure to give you guys an episode this week. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get some guests on, but that is okay. This show will go on. This is never going to stop. So let's just jump right into today's episode. I'm going to give you a breakdown. First, we're going to be talking about the new rules in the NBA and how they've made basketball more entertaining and have actually improved the game of basketball and made it more watchable for the purists. We'll talk about the Washington Wizards, the competitiveness of the National Basketball Association this season. And I know it's very early, but it seems like it's going to be a very long season with teams competing for this 1 through 10th seed very aggressively throughout the entire year. We'll touch a little bit on the Rookie of the Year / the MVP race. And then we'll top it off with, of course, the Miami Heat report. As always, I've got a report on my team and how they're doing. So let's just jump right into it. Over the summer, there were some rules that were announced that would improve the National Basketball Association's ability to not call as many fouls, as NBA players were taking advantage of some of the intricacies of the rule book that actually came out a little bit more, was more of an aggressive thing once Kobe Bryant made a mention of it and his book came out, that he would read the referee's handbook. And it seemed like a majority of the league would do that. And some of its top scorers this season have actually seemed to suffer. Names that come to mind, the two names that come to mind are James Harden and Trae Young, just because that type of play style. Steph Curry as well, kind of taking advantage of defenders, using dirty little slick tricks to draw fouls, tangle up, things like that, have caused some players to struggle. Specifically, Trae Young and James Harden have been the highlight of the struggle. Some people thought Jimmy Butler as well. He was somebody who definitely took advantage of those rules. Clearly, it has not affected him. Jim VP campaign is very strong, going 6 games into the season so far. But the new rules are essentially just, you're not allowed to really throw your body around, flail when you shoot, which makes contact and the ability to defend a shooter much more of a realistic task. I remember back when Josh Hart put his hands behind his back to guard James Harden because they were calling so many fouls. Every time Harden went to the basket and got touched, the whistle would blow, boop, boop, and then Harden would go and get his free throws. And he actually had his first big free throw game against the Pacers the other night, which he shot, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was 19 free throws and made 16 of them. And it was actually his best game of the season, was when he could get to the free throw line, because other than that, he would have had 13 points in the game. So clearly, this is affecting a lot of the players, and a lot of players that we thought were elite offensive players are not as elite as we think. Of course, 6 games into the season, there's an adjustment period that still needs to, that will continue throughout the season, and maybe James Harden and Trae Young will figure it out. But as it stands, this is the best basketball I probably have ever seen since I started watching basketball, religiously back in 2010. The defensive intensity, the ability to play defense, to be physical, to get on your man, to take away their strong hand, to take away their moves, to counter with physicality. That has really opened up the game for a lot of players to shine. A lot of guys that don't get, they don't get their credit for what they do on the court, which is play defense, play hard every night, and shut down the other guy, are now getting their flowers, as people are starting to see when the rules aren't legitimately built against defenders, exactly just how good these defenders really are. A big beneficiary of this rule has been the defensive players. So I expect this season to be a season where we're going to see historically low offensive numbers compared to the past couple of years, as well as historically high defensive numbers compared to the past couple of years. I think we might actually this season see one of the top 3 defenses that have ever lived of all time will end up in one NBA team this season. That's just a prediction of mine, due to the rules and just how easy it is for defenders to do their job and be able to do their job the right way without being called for, a little tic-tac foul here and there. But yeah, so basketball is much more entertaining to watch. I've been enjoying watching these games. I've been enjoying just the purity of defense. I'm a defensive first person. I love defense. The defense side of the floor to me is the most difficult side in basketball. It provides a real challenge to stop somebody else when they can throw up a shot and get lucky and they go in. You know, it's harder to get lucky on a stop than it is to get lucky on a shot, to be honest. So moving on though, I want to talk about the Washington Wizards, who made a couple of moves. So they did acquire Spencer Dinwiddie, Kyle Kuzma, and Montrezl Harrell. That has absolutely turned this team and given them just another gear where the Wizards are playing very good. Kyle Kuzma has finally found a role in the NBA where he is a scorer. He will get the ball. He's going to get his opportunity. He's going to get his shots to put up. He's going to get his shots to put up. And he's going to be able to do his job this season, as I kind of predicted earlier in Just Hoops episode 1 that Kyle Kuzma would, the Washington Wizards would be one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference, just based off they have some of the best players that just didn't have a role. Kyle Kuzma, Montrezl Harrell, Spencer Dinwiddie being behind, first and foremost, having an ACL injury, then having to come behind Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, and James Harden. It was kind of obvious that he was going to be moved this offseason, and he ended up in Washington. And now with Bradley Beal and without Rui Hachimura, who still has yet to join the team, so this team is not even at its peak yet. They are looking very good early into the season with their entire roster. They're a very deep roster. I think the Wizards are going to make a lot of noise. I actually think the Wizards are better than the Knicks. I understand the Knicks are on a very, very hot streak right now, but the Washington Wizards, just in general, I think they can't keep up with the Knicks defensively, but offensively, I definitely think that the Washington Wizards have the upper hand, especially having the superstar Bradley Beal, along with some complementary pieces like a new revitalized Kyle Kuzma, or revitalized the Montrezl Harrell we're used to seeing that dominates the paint, the undersized big that's bigger than everybody on the court just with his hustle and his intensity. And then, of course, the slick point guard maestro, Spencer Dinwiddie, doing his job, doing everything he can to keep his team afloat in this tough Eastern Conference and tough NBA. That will move me into my next topic. So the NBA is, as far as competitiveness, as competitive as we have ever seen. I think we are seeing that superstars matter, but team structures, team depth, versatility, being able to switch, being able to adapt to adjustments in game, coaching, everything matters. This year seems like a very balanced year. It seems like the top is going to be very top heavy, but we're going to be having a lot of interesting playoff series, a lot of competitive playoff series, and a lot of chess matches going out the rest of the season, simply because, one, the new rules benefit a lot of teams. A lot of defensive teams are now coming out and being even better. That's the key this season, is the best defensive teams are the top teams currently right now, even in the power rankings, just because being able to stop a bucket is better than getting a bucket in the league. And especially in this year with the way it's all being played, you have the Lakers, you have the Nets, who aren't even that good. They're not at full power. And every other team is kind of just adjusting and adapting and getting so much better right now that I feel like come playoff time, we're going to see probably one of the best playoff, just competition-wise, we'll see one of the best years that we have seen in the NBA in a very long time. So I'm very excited for this season and what's to come. Moving on from that, let's get into the Rookie of the Year and the MVP race. So Rookie of the Year, I had Cade Cunningham, but I think it's going to be Jalen Green. He's a very high prolific scorer, but at the same time, I think a guy that has a chance, and it'll probably be one of the crazier Rookie of the Year wins, is a fan favorite of mine, Davion Mitchell from Baylor. He plays for the Sacramento Kings. He's a lockdown, an absolute. He reminds me a lot of Avery Bradley. He's the best defensive player in the draft. He's actually kind of trending to win Defensive Player of the Year as a rookie, which is very impressive. So right now I have Jalen Green and Davion Mitchell as my top two rookies right now, pretty much battling it out. I think Green will probably win it just statistically. He scores more points, and voters are just going to lean towards that, other than the defensive side. That really doesn't come out on paper, so a lot of the media members, they don't really go and vote off things that they can't see on paper, unfortunately. So those are the top two rookies. And as far as the MVP, impressively enough, Rudy Gobert has been an animal. Basketball Reference has him as number 2. I would say Donovan Mitchell has probably a bigger impact on the Utah Jazz because Rudy Gobert also has Hassan Whiteside to come in and do his same exact job and just basically fill in that role and guard the paint, grab the rebounds, make sure nobody makes anything in the interior, and make sure to clean up all the boards and get it out back to the shooters. But I think the MVP this year, so far, 6 games in, is going to go down to 2 guys. It's going to go to Stephen Curry or Jimmy Butler, in my humble opinion. Jimmy Butler, of course, we'll talk about the Miami Heat in a bit, but Jimmy Butler is having one of the best seasons of his career, averaging 27, 6, and 5. 27, 7, and 7. That's LeBron James-esque Miami numbers, which, as a Miami Heat fan, I'm super happy to hear. Stephen Curry is not shooting the best percentage-wise, so I think that's why Jimmy Butler has the edge. But his ability to keep the Warriors afloat in every game and keep them competitive from going last year into this year, even still without Klay Thompson, is something to commend and be very impressed about. But then, without further ado, let's close this episode out with the Miami Heat have, in my opinion, been the best team in the league so far through 6 games. Offensively, they have a flaw. Without Kyle Lowry and without a playmaker on the floor, the offense looks very suspect. And there's many questions to be answered as far as how will the Miami Heat go, like what will happen if Kyle Lowry went down. My easy prediction, very simple, the Miami Heat will not win any playoff series, pretty much not win many games without Kyle Lowry, because Kyle Lowry dominating the ball takes that pressure off of Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, and Tyler Hero, and you're seeing what that not having to have the ball in their hand is doing for these players and how it's benefiting them, especially Jimmy Butler, who, as I mentioned earlier, is averaging about 27, 7, and 7 after a very lackluster year and a terrible first-round playoff performance against the Milwaukee Bucks. Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo have revitalized themselves as one of the top duos in the league, without question. And as far as the top two-way duos, it's not even close when it comes to Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, the way they can get it done on both ends of the floor. As far as the team, the unit itself, I'm very happy with Dwayne Dedmon. I love Max Strus and Duncan Robinson and how they aggressively look for their shots. No matter how many shots they miss, they keep going. Tyler Hero, he's been dribbling a lot. I like it. I like his new package, his new moves, his ability to create space. He's done a fantastic job of working in his in-between game. Coming off of pick and rolls, he really had the mid-range and the floater, but now he has a really good kind of handle and an ability to maneuver between that area within the 3-point, within the screen and his defender, and kind of manipulate that into a successful, pass to the roll man, or creating something other than just driving straight to the paint. But one thing that I really like about Tyler Hero was he's improved his ability to make shots, especially tough shots. And he's not scared to take those tough shots. He's never been scared. But I think this year he's walking with a certain confidence, certain swagger, certain mindset. Like, he really believes he's as good as Trae Young and Luka Doncic and John Morant. He believes that. And he wants to go out and prove that. And I believe as a 6-man, if he had starter minutes, he'd probably be averaging some of the numbers that some of those guys are averaging. But unfortunately, Tyler Hero is playing a perfect role. He's doing exactly what he needs to do. He's obviously right now, without a question, the 6th man of the year. I don't think it's even close in conversations. He's the 6th man with the most 25-point games so far. I think he's the only 6th man with multiple 25-point games, as a matter of fact, this season. Where Miami has obviously, I think, taken the leap over everybody, the new rules benefit nobody like the Miami Heat. How physical this team plays and how they turn the main source of offense and creating momentum for this team is turning defense into offense. It's turning steals, disrupting the passing lane, getting a block, hustling for a loose ball, and then starting that fast break. That's where Miami Heat really starts to build their momentum and start to build their runs, because teams start to, come down and get desperate, and they have such a good, calm, and poised defense. Everybody gets in their spots. Everybody sticks to their man. PJ Tucker doesn't shut the fuck up, and I absolutely love it. Just being on the court, telling everybody, getting mad at people when they do stupid fouls, when they do stupid things. PJ Tucker is there to tell them, hey, you made a mistake. Look, do this, do that. He's not there screaming at them, telling them, hey, yo, this, that, and the third. He's educating. He's teaching these young guys, and he's teaching this team defensively just how to work as a unit. Of course, he's coming in with Kyle Lowry, who both have championship pedigree, which is something that this team needed. And there's another champion in there that some people forgot to mention, Marcus Morris. Marcus Morris is in there competing with, he's got a ring as well. This team has a lot of championship pedigree, has a lot of championship experience. And in a 7-game series, I've said it before, I'll say it again, I'll continue to say it. In a 7-game series, just based off defensive capabilities, ability to switch and be versatile, nobody is ready for a 7-game series like the Miami Heat are. Where will this go as we continue the season? I think we're going to see maybe a player or two that we don't want to be traded from Miami be traded in terms for unless the buyout market brings something really good, a backup playmaking point guard, somebody to come and do Kyle Lowry's job when Kyle Lowry's either A, injured, or B, off the floor. Kyle Lowry has seen offensive struggles, but I need people to understand that Kyle Lowry can struggle every single night if he does just that, set up everybody. As long as Kyle Lowry's orchestrating the offense, truly him scoring is just a plus. But his ability to take, all Kyle Lowry has really done is taking the ball out of Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo's hand and let them, use more energy on defense and more energy on offense because they don't have to create plays. Jimmy Butler and Tyler Hero don't have to make and orchestrate the offense and go on the other end and play defense. This team plays together. They play as a unit. They play for each other. There's a lot of chemistry, yet they still have a lot of turnovers and make a lot of mistakes, so they're not even at 100%. And I still see them, as far as, again, defensively, miles ahead from every team. In every statistical category, they're leading right now. As far as defensively, the Miami Heat are number one. Whatever you can think of, point differential, steals, whatever, Miami is number one or top 5. And that is very, very scary to think of because they are also producing a top 10 caliber offense that's in the making, still getting plugged in with a system that Spoelstra is implementing with Kyle Lowry, which our point guard has been Goran Dragic. We haven't had a legitimate point guard in years. So Spoelstra is also making a readjustment by bringing in a guy like Kyle Lowry, who's a playmaker, and now he has Goran Dragic, who used to be another scorer. So now he's bringing in his best man to run the offense, can't get, struggling to get buckets. When back then Goran Dragic was the other way around. Goran struggled to get his teammates involved, but he made sure to get his points. He made sure to get his buckets, and that was kind of the trade-off. But now this trade-off is actually a little bit better because it's giving Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo with Tyler Hero as well, who are, 3 primary scorers, the green light to shoot. Duncan Robinson and Max Strus have always been off the ball. Dwayne Dedmon and Omer Yurtseven have done their best ability to play the center position and be that, substitute for Bam, who isn't the biggest in the world, but of course he had 19 rebounds the other day, so we know he's one of the best on the board. And then just this team is balanced. This is a very balanced team, top to bottom, from the first man to the 15th man, from Jimmy Butler to Udonis Haslem. We have a very complete team. We have a team that's together. And I've been saying this for a while now, but the Miami Heat are going to be making the NBA Finals. I'm starting to change my opinion on whether they will win or not, but as far as my confidence for the Miami Heat making the NBA Finals, I have no doubt in my mind. I think we're seeing exactly what I thought would happen. We'd be the best defensive team by miles, and what would happen is Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo would now be able to bloom. I didn't think this of Tyler Hero. I thought Duncan Robinson would be doing what Tyler Hero is doing, but once Duncan Robinson clicks, it's a whole nother story. And to add on top of everything, to put the cherry on top, the roster 1 to 15, our 16th man that's sitting on the bench that's a reserve, his name is Victor Oladipo. He just happens to be that playmaking guy. He just happens to be another great defender that can come in for Kyle Lowry. So today is October 31st, 2021. I'm declaring it is scary hours in South Beach. So yes, thank you everybody for listening.